Which nursing degree is the hardest? Hey, what's up guys, it's me, the second PJC. I get asked all the time, is it your associates, your bachelor's, or your master's? In this video, I'm gonna break down each one and give my opinion on how hard each one is. I'm gonna start with what I think is the easiest one and end with the hardest. Let's talk about it. This video is for educational purposes only and is not meant to be medical advice. So starting with what I think is the easiest of the three, definitely the bachelor's degree. Now there's kind of like two different ways you can get your bachelor's in nursing. The first one being like you just take a full 4-year program at a university and just get your bachelor's in one go. Or you can start at like a community college and get your associates first in 2 years and then get your bachelor's after that in like 1.5 to 2 more years. So I'm talking about the path where you just have your associates first and then you do your bachelor's afterwards, which only takes about 2 more years or less. There's a lot of reasons why bachelor's of nursing is the easiest of the three. The first one being a lot of bachelor's programs nowadays are all online for nursing. I got my associates first, and then for my BSN, I went to an out-of-state program that was all online. So I never actually went physically out of state, but yeah. Anyway, in my bachelor's program, there were no synchronous like lectures that I had to attend. They were all asynchronous, which means like you can kind of just watch the lecture anytime you want. They're all like pre-recorded and uploaded, so you can watch it later on your own time. That means you don't have to wake up at like 9 a.m. and go to class at 10 or anything like that. You have the flexibility of watching lectures and doing assignments on your own time. That even means you can watch lectures at like 1.5 speed if you want to. And honestly, a lot of the lectures, like you don't even have to watch the whole thing to like get all the information. And also a lot of them are just like PowerPoint slides, which you can just like read and pause and then skip to the next slide and so on. Another good thing is that there were like very few quizzes or exams. For the most part, BSN is just writing like essays, discussion boards, doing some assignments here and there. It's basically all just busy work that just takes time pretty much. So you're not like pressured to study and memorize a lot of things. Basically, as long as you do your work, you're good. And it's not like you're learning how to do new nursing skills, like doing an IV piggyback or anything like that. It's more just like general knowledge stuff, like how to lead nursing, the ethics of nursing, the laws of nursing, and stuff like that. And the best part of my BSN program was that it did not have any clinical requirements. So basically it was literally just like all online assignments and that was it. And you can also take as many classes or as few classes as you want per semester. So you're not like rushed to do things. I think there's even schools where you can finish your BSN in like a year or less, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, anyway, BSN is by far the easiest of the three, in my opinion, due to these reasons. And now moving on to what I think is the next hardest, which might surprise a lot of people, but it's actually the master's in nursing. When you think about it intuitively, it really seems like the associates should be easier than the master's, but I actually found it the opposite way around from my experience. I did a 2-year psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner master's degree, and honestly, a lot of it was just the same as the BSN, except like longer and more work. Like for example, my BSN program would require us to write essays that were like 3 to 5 pages long. But for my master's program, they would require us to write like 8 to 10 page essays. If I remember correctly, I think our last essay that we had to do was like literally 20 pages. And for my BSN, the discussion boards had like maybe a minimum word requirement of like 200 words, but then my master's program would require like 500 words. So it's pretty much just like different subjects, but like the same assignments, just longer and more time consuming. But since you should already have your BSN by the time you do your MSN, you should already be used to doing all this like tedious busy work, so it's not that much harder. In my opinion, the content that you learn is like a little bit harder than the content you learn in DSN. Like there will be classes you have to take like pharmacology and stuff like that, where you just like, they have no idea what's going on for like receptors and ion channels. So yeah, that kind of content you learn in your master's program is going to be a little bit harder than your BSN program. And for my master's program, there were definitely a lot more quizzes and exams in all of the classes. So I actually had to study a lot more. And also my master's program required 500 clinical hours. So you definitely have to do your clinical rotations for a master's. And also at the end of your master's program, if you plan to specialize in your nurse practitioner field, like psychiatric mental health or just like family practice, you do have to take like a certification exam afterwards to get your certification. But honestly though, I took the psychiatric mental health certification exam on the ANCC, and it was a freaking joke compared to the NCLEX. Like the NCLEX was so much harder. It has like those annoying select all that apply questions. But the ANCC exam for psychiatric mental health had no select all that apply questions. And it was only 4 answer choices per question. So you literally had like a 25% chance of getting it right if you just wanted to guess. And you don't get penalized for wrong answers. Honestly, if we just assume that the NCLEX is like a 10 out of 10 difficulty, I would rate the ANCC PMHNP exam at like literally a 6 out of 10. It really is that easy compared to the NCLEX. So yeah, if you're doing your master's, you should already have experience like going to clinicals and like taking your NCLEX exam. So these things aren't anything new. And that leads us to why I think the associate's degree in nursing is actually the hardest out of the 3. Okay, so like first of all, if you want to get an associate's degree program, a lot of them have like wait lists. So you have to wait a long time before you get accepted. It's gonna depend definitely by school, but from my experience and from what people tell me, a lot of people have to wait like maybe a year or maybe even 2 years or more before they get accepted into an ADN program. You have to take like all these prerequisite courses before you can start, like anatomy, physiology. You have to take the TEAS test and like do some other things and submit all of them to the school. So the school will kind of look like all the students that applied and just pick whichever students they feel have like the best scores and then pick those students to go into their nursing cohort. So if you don't make it into like the next cohort, you might be put on the wait list to get into the one after that, which might be like 6 months down the line or something. But anyway, once you start in the actual associate's degree program itself, that's actually the hardest part. The reason why I think it's so hard is that you go into it with like no nursing knowledge at all. Like you know nothing, zero about nursing. Like, yeah, there's a lot of people who are like former CNAs or like former LVNs, but like for the most part, all the nursing stuff you learn there, you're like brand new to everything. And they try to cram all this stuff into 2 years. So not only are you learning like brand new information about nursing things like infections, lab values, lung sounds, abdominal sounds, how to do a physical assessment, and I could literally go on for like an hour on everything you're gonna learn. Not only that, but you're also gonna have to learn the actual physical skills themselves. Like how do you insert an IV? How do you do an IV piggyback? How do you do a Foley catheter? If you've been in nursing school before, you know how much of a pain it is to like insert a catheter in somebody's you know what. And then not only that, you do your clinical rotations for the first time where you just show up and you don't know what the hell's going on. And on top of that, you also have quizzes and exams and assignments. You're probably also gonna have to attend lab classes where they teach you those like physical techniques. It's just basically a whole lot of brand new stuff that you have to learn in such a short amount of time. In those 2 years, you're definitely gonna learn the most that you're gonna use in your nursing foundation for the rest of your career though. But honestly though, even though the associates is the hardest of the 3 in my opinion, it's the degree that I feel was the most valuable and where I learned the most for sure. Especially since they're in-person programs, like you and your classmates in your cohort are gonna develop like such a strong bond within those 2 years. Like a lot of my classmates that I had back then, like I still talk to every now and then, whereas my BSN and my MSN programs were online for the most part. So like I don't even have like friends from those things. So yeah, that's my take on which of the 3 nursing degrees are the hardest. Definitely the easiest is the BSN for sure. And then the middle one is the MSN, and definitely the hardest is the associates. But the associate's degree is the most rewarding in my opinion. So what's your experience been like? Do you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comments down below. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe. I do videos on like psych nursing stuff and just nursing stuff in general. I am also on TikTok and Instagram if you want to follow me over there at the Psych and P David C. I do medication management for adults in California. If you're interested, there's a link down below. And with that, your mental health just leveled up. You're welcome.